Yo, what's going on, guys? We're going to be taking a look at a silver Amumu player from the EU West region. Your runes look fine, your level order for your abilities looks good, your summoners look good, your items look good. So the only thing we really need to look at is the thought process and the gameplay, really. So first thing, Amumu is not an invade jungler. By stepping up like this, you're risking them being stacked in bush. It is rare for a whole team, but it's not uncommon for jungler and top lane to be out here. You did leave base the soonest on your team, to be fair, but if they leave at the same time, they can get to this bush before you and you wouldn't know it. So this is inherently risky. It can be worth it against invade style junglers like Nidalee or Kindred. In this ELO though, generally wouldn't worry about it. And on top of that, you're up against a Zac and he's the type of champion who would never invade you. So it feels like a little bit of a weird ward. Normally you would want to lay it, even if you're up against a vertical jungler, you would lay it to where it can see this chunk and this at the same time, to where you kind of lay it right here. It shows you a circle around the word, so you'll know what I'm talking about. But what I'm trying to say is you don't have to give away the fact that you're over here and give away the fact that you're warding. You can just do it safer and more discreetly. You decide you're going to get a leash from top side, perfectly fine. Amumu can start top or bot. I will say I'm not a huge fan of Amumu right now in the meta. I think his win rate and pick rate reflects that, to where, yes, you can win games on him. Yes, you can get diamond with him. Though I do believe there are champions where you could do it easier. Like Nunu and Zac right now are way more viable than him. And in my opinion, easier. But if you do want to stick with Amumu, that's fine. You can easily get diamond with him as long as you minimize your mistakes. I like the pull from Gromp to the blue buff. You finish off the blue, looks good. Amumu was all about make minimal mistakes, don't waste ganks, and maximize the value out of your R. If you can do those things, you'll be winning games. So far, looks good. You got your E level 2. If you don't get a leash, you can solo start on Raps or Wolves with your E, and it's effective enough. I like the queuing over the wall. Makes things a bit more efficient. Standard to full clear gank on Amumu. Or if you don't want to fight for bot scuttle, or I should say, if you don't want to fight for scuttle crab, or if the gank doesn't look doable, you would reset and then go for opposite side scuttle. In this case, it looks... MF looks killable by yourself as long as she doesn't have flash and heal. Now, your laner's pinged out, she doesn't have flash and heal, so it's doable. Ooh, she just hit 3. Brand hit 3. That's tough now. Yep. It happens. I like you taking the wave. With that being said, try to take the minions that are already underneath the turret, because you'll tick your teammates off if you hold a wave then take these. This will be viewed differently than if you were taking these, because he could probably get some of these, but I would be last hitting these, if that makes sense, because he's already very close. Now, if Ezreal's as far back as Lux, if they're a distance to where they're going to miss the vast majority of it, then yeah, just take the whole thing. But he's going to get the majority of this, I think, because he's very close. Just keep that in mind. I would last hit this, maybe last hit this, and then leave, let him get these. You're setting yourself up to hit a very early level 6. Hitting level 6 as a jungler pre 7 minutes, very good. Hitting at 7 minute 30, somewhat standard. Hitting it 8 minute or later is unfortunate. If you soak 2 waves, you should be able to hit it pre 6:30. If you only soak 1, you'll hit it a little pre 7. You decide to go for the scuttle. You don't take the fight. Whenever you're about to fight or you're thinking about it, always press tap. So here you'd say, oh, Zac, he has no items, versus you have Ruby and boots plus refills ready to use. He doesn't. So you're quite a bit stronger. The only reason this is a bad fight is because Zed's roaming and Kion is not. So it's fine for you not to take this fight. If Zed was dead or basing, then this would be a great fight to take. With that being said, Zac does counter tank junglers because he has massive max health damage and he heals so much that tanks can't really finish him. So just keep that in mind. If you're going to fight matchups like Zac, you need to be playing very crisp and clean, to where you're essentially just outplaying them rather than just doing what they're doing and winning, because that won't work. You go back into the full clear, which I really like. You end up taking your second wave here. Very cool. It makes sense because it was going to crash. Nice job grabbing that. And you are about to be level 6. Whenever you're level 6 on Amumu, you want to try to be towards the bot lane, and you were in the absolute perfect spot and a great position to carry this game. With that being said, there's no shame in getting an early Dark Seal on Amumu. It's an incredibly cheap item, and Ruby doesn't give much value. Whenever you buy a Ruby Crystal, it doesn't help you kill anybody. It doesn't help your ganks. It's useless. But Dark Seal does give you some damage, and it stacks. So first back, if you have as much gold as you had, you didn't really get much, Boots Dark Seal is perfectly fine. I would honestly just leave this and go for the gank. There's no need to finish the camp. After you finish the initial medium one and the initial large one, the camp will reset, like, and end up respawning. So whenever you're on a close gank, whenever your teammates have less than like 5 seconds to react, you need to at least triple on your way ping it, if not max it, because lots of people are listening to music or just dicking around, not paying attention. Plus, this is a big wave. This is a very large wave, and your teammates are missing some health. So subconsciously, they're thinking, oh, we need to let this crash and farm it. It's a lot of minions. But when in reality, it's like, hey, I'm level 6, we gain like it now. Plus, they don't have flash, and you already know that. So this was an absolute tragedy. Neither champion has a dash. Neither one of them has flash. This should have been a double kill. You needed to ping more. It's just as simple as that. If your teammates follow this up, this would have been a double kill. You have 3.5 seconds of CC. Lux has 2 seconds of AoE CC, not including her E. Easy double. Gotta use those pings. Pings are how you control your teammates. Never ping your teammate, though. You ping what you want them to think, or you ping what they need to know. But you never ping people directly, because it's like offensive. It's like yelling at someone, and they'll mute you. You let her break that. You have your R, so you want to use it. Understandable. Come up from behind. Just walk up and hit him with R. The only time you want to force an early Q or burn flash is if they have kill pressure on a teammate, which they do. So this actually makes a lot of sense for you to flash and try to get in there. You close the distance. Beautiful sidestep. After you land the stun, yep, just take a little step over, get the double R, walk into her. I'd hit her with Q at this point. I guess you're waiting until she turns on your teammates, which is fine, but I would have done it sooner because she could have gotten a kill here. Now, if your teammates were full health or if they were running away, I would hold on to Q as a gap closer once she starts to get away from you. But since she has the kill pressure, you just need to stun her. That was nearly a kill. Nice. Dragon's a great call here since you just got a double kill. Your teammates should help you, though. You could also stay and help push the wave. After any successful gank, you have full rights as a jungler to help shove the wave. Just try not to take the last hits themselves, because your laners do need that gold. But whenever you help them shove the wave, you're all getting the majority of the total XP. And the enemies will be missing a huge chunk of it underneath their turret. So your teammates are still getting very far ahead, and so are you. So shove the wave. They'll come here to help you faster. Now, in terms of, oh, I was just going to solo it, you don't really do that anymore pre-full item on any jungler, because the dragons are so damn tanky that anyone can walk up and mess with you now. They take so freaking long. Especially Ocean Dragon. Never, ever, ever, ever try to solo an Ocean Dragon early game as a jungler. If anyone walks up on you, you're going to die, because it slows you every auto attack. Just something to think about. You go for Raptors here. So after Dragon, you could have done a full clear, like Krugs, Red, Raps, etc. The replay's bugged, so I think it's showing that your topside camps are down, even though we don't technically know that. So that means Zach probably invaded you because he saw you lingering bot side, he saw his bot lane die, and then he saw you pathing towards Dragon. But the better you get, you kind of come to expect, or the higher elo you get, you expect the enemy jungler to punish certain things. So when you showed bot for so long, and you know, like the Zach was, I think he started topside. He's probably going to be in your jungle, so I would have probably just gone to red, Krugs maybe reganked, or Raptors, red, Krugs ganked. I don't think there's any point to go top. Something to keep in mind is there's certain laners that you just don't gank. Absolutely, you do not touch. Level 6 Alawi, as a melee jungler, you do not touch. A level 6 Darius, you leave him alone. Garen's borderline in that category. Mordecai is definitely in that category. Teemo is in that category. Once certain top laners specifically are level 6, you don't touch them because it's too hard. Like Teemo could have Shroom set up. This is such a coin flippy play. You've already been playing pretty good this game other than that time you didn't drop the pings, but coming in for this when there could be like 50 shrooms here and you don't know is so sketchy. Plus, you don't have R. Look at your gold expenditure. You're only at Boots Cloth Armor. Is Boots Cloth Armor going to make the difference if you hit 2 mushrooms? Probably not. So I don't like this gank at all. It feels very forced. If your R was up, I'd say sure. It's down, so it's not worth. You do land everything on Zach, but, and you're going to say, oh, it was so close if he didn't have flash though. But yeah, but what if there's like 8 mushrooms there? You would have both died. That's why it's not worth. As the better, more cerebral player, we need to make plays where we can control the outcome consistently. We want to try to avoid plays where there's going to be a crap load of RNG involved. Teemo mushrooms is basically RNG because you don't know where you put them and you could have a bunch down at once. So wouldn't recommend it. Ganking Teemo pre-6 is fine. Ganking him at level 6, unless he's underneath turret and you're diving, I wouldn't want to do it. If he's underneath turret, it's a lot easier because you have less space you need to run him down. And generally, when you're trying to fight him like this, he'll walk in a way to where he leads you into mushrooms. If he's already under his turret, you're less likely to run into a mushroom because he's not leading you into it, if that makes sense. Your R is up. We should ideally look for a gank here. Kiana needs to go back mid. He's going to mess up your gank. Just go for Krugs after this. Play for Drag Soul. If you get the first dragon, Soul is such an easy win con. Each dragon is so much stronger. And they also buff the souls to where you win the game. You really do. So you don't need to do anything crazy to win this game. Nothing over the top. Even if Zach does outscale you and is just a better champion in general, it won't make the difference if you have drags plus soul. I like this. You have some of your camps down at least, and 2 of them were respawning, so you're not missing out on too much by doing this, plus your R's up. If your R was down, I wouldn't be a big fan of this. But your R's up, so this makes a lot of sense. Ideally, we want to get in the next bush, though. Oh, let me close this out real quick. Time controls. Zach's coming bot side. He jumps in. Right when you see this, you have 2 options. Use Lux as bait and get MF to use her R, or you just go in immediately. Either is a decent option. You decide to go in early, you Q her. It's okay. I think if the minions weren't here, I would have held Q as a gap closer. But since they are here, it's fine, because then if you walked out, she'd start to run through her minions, and it's going to be hard. Then you'd have to R her, then Q, which is fine, but now you can save your R for a double R here, ideally. That was a mistake. So something you did really well earlier on one gank is you landed Q, you stepped off, and then right as your stun was about to end from the Q, then you R'd. You needed to do that here, and I think you could have gotten a double stun. Yeah, see, Zach pats back, just walk towards him, drop the double R. But you didn't move after your Q, you just stayed on the MF. I think you tunneled or were on lock screen to where you didn't see the Zach. You hit him with the Q though, try to walk with him. Yeah, turn off those tears. I think that could have been a double, but still a very positive outcome for your team. And all of this is going to be funneled into Drag Soul. You don't really need Amumu's. You don't really need Heralds on Amumu. That's not really your win con. Amumu's all about hitting level 6 as efficiently and safely as possible. Heralds don't really play into that, in my opinion, because you don't get that much XP. It takes you away from your camps. And if someone shows up, it's hard for Amumu to solo any jungler in the game. So a Herald is just inherently kind of poop for you. Your R's down. This play makes absolutely no sense. So MF's missing, Zach's missing. You don't really have mid prio. They're both equal HP. Zed has way more gold spent. To where this makes no sense to me. This is one of these plays where this is how you lose games on Amumu. Things are already going good. Your team's tied up. You're already level 6 plus. Your R's on a cooldown, and we're doing a really weird random play where we see them, like we know they see us, and we're doing it anyways. To where if MF was respawning and Zach was respawning, this would make sense to me. But since they're all alive, it's just kind of weird. Even if you get the blue buff, what does that really do? Is that going to change the game in a meaningful way? Even if you got it and got away? Probably not. But if you die here, it changes the game in a very meaningful way. So sure enough, that's what happens. Just one bad invade. The only time you really invade on Amumu is if you have the people advantage. You have your goons with you and you're invading their jungler who you have warded. Or you invade when you know for a fact no one's there and no one does see you. So because you're like counter jungling because they're in your jungle. But that wasn't the case because we saw Bran and we saw that he saw us. So that was not one of those situations. We decided to go bot again. Our R is about to be up, so that's fine. Whenever your R is 30 seconds roughly or away, 30 seconds or less, you do want to be pathing into the bot. Get off a big double R. Make that a habit. Some easy wins. Lux kind of screws the pooch here. There was just no need for her to throw that out. Plus, the MF minions were pushing into Ezreal, so that whole play was just kind of forced. Could potentially start Dragon here. Oh, never mind. Zach's here, and he has item advantage. Do we have enough gold? We're close. No, actually, yeah, we should be able to buy what we're trying to buy. You could get your item. I'm not a big fan of this fight. A Sunfire Aegis is way stronger than a Balmy Cinder. Way stronger. Never want to take that fight. You decide to take Dragon because MF's low. This isn't terrible, even though you have item disadvantage, only because MF was so low. I like how you do the sneak play where you take it over the wall so this doesn't see you. This can't actually see into the pit, so they have no idea. Perfect. You're set to win, dude. You have 2 dragons. Keep playing for bot side and win the game. You decide you want to go mid, bad gank. If you don't think you can solo the enemy laner, and your laner can't follow up because they're nearly dead or too far away, it's a bad gank. Not only is she too far away, but she's almost dead. So this is a very weird gank because you have less HP, less levels, and less items. This is why you always press tab before and after fights, because you need to understand how items interact. So here you'd say, huh, no full item, full item. He has fast boots, I don't. So he's faster and stronger to where we're showing ourselves here. Maybe you were just going for the minions. If you're going for the minions, maybe then. We end up having to blow our R and then we die. Yeah, it was just a very unnecessary situation. You could have just approached it from the back or not have gone there at all. You and your mid laner both die for that. It's unfortunate. Now our R is on a cooldown. Every single R on Amumu, if you use it in a meaningful way where a gank makes sense, it's almost always a kill. So whenever you have a wasted R like that, it takes away so much tempo from what you're trying to do. Because your R makes it to where you don't have any skill shots. You just walk up, blue smite, press R, they're stunned, then you Q them, stay on top of them, and then you can Q them again. This isn't a terrible gank, only because your R is up and bot isn't really gankable right now. You have nothing else to do since all your camps are down, so this is fine. Generally, though, you do want it R bot, but like I said, it's not doable right now. You're waiting for Kiana to, I think, push him into the wall. You Q the minion. You need to blue smite him immediately, run him down. Tosses him. You get the stun into stun, and you guys end up getting the kill. Not bad. Good teamwork. You see Zach's bot side, I would have invaded his jungle. At least take a peek. Once again, we don't invade we don't gank enemy Teemos, allow Darius's or Mordekaisers once they're level 6, and kind of Garen as well. You decide you want to go for Herald. Herald isn't really our win con. It's not a bad play though. Since Kiana did come over though, it's kind of televised. You don't really need a laner to help you do Herald. You missed the first Q because you were trying to save the Mundo. Just blue smite him, walk into him. While he's still slowed, you hit him with your second Q. Looks good. I don't want to say that was your fault, but... Oh, it's Mundo's fault. What is he doing? I thought he stepped up because he saw you were ganking, but he actually just trolled himself. Okay, that's totally not your fault. I was going to say, like, if Mundo's playing safe because he's low, and then all of a sudden you come in for the gank, so then he steps up, and then he dies, it's kind of your fault because you didn't need to force that gank. But he literally just killed himself, so yeah. Nice job slowing him, then pressing Q. It's always best to slow them or CC them before we have to use Q. That way it is a unmissable skill shot. You're being nice and patient here because you see they're going to overextend. You land a big 2-man R. You have them under the turret as well. This is a really awkward wall chunk to where if you're not like right on top of it, the turret can reach. It's a nice job. You hit him with the blue smite. Brand's an issue, man. Brand has a lot of max health damage. This is definitely a force of nature game. They're triple AP. They have the Zac, Teemo, Brand. They all do magic damage. Play for the drag soul. Make sure you've spent your gold and you have your R ready for each and every dragon. Drag team fight style champions. Now your main goal is going to be to CC MF out of her R or to land just huge AoE Rs when your teammates can follow up. That's going to be how you're going to win this game from this point. The stage of being able to just walk in behind people RQ for ganks is over. Like the laning phase is pretty much over at this point. 20 minutes into the game. You decide to give dragon, so you go for a mid herald instead. That's fine. This is the best invade you've done all game. You already know where they are. You know they can't stop you. You invade. This makes 100% sense. We need more of this. There's other times where Zac was elsewhere on the map and we didn't invade. I like this a lot. You decide you want to dive because you have R. Makes sense. He flashed then auto. That's so hilarious. I don't think the flash is good, to be honest, but you arm into Q, looks good. You stay on top. I didn't know Zed was coming. That's unfortunate. The only thing I'll say here is you are ganking for your most behind teammate in the game. Generally, you want to play towards your stronger lanes. I think that's the only consideration to have there. And once again, ganking Teemos, Allows, Darius's, and Garen's once they're level 6 and up is kind of hard. It basically shifts the odds of success against you. Your R is up. They got the last dragon. You're going to need to wombo combo with the Kiana. Ezreal has a huge CS lead on MF. Even though this game looks really bad right now, he has way more gold spent than her. Huge pick. He ends up getting away from you on that one. You saw his red buff just came up. It'd be fine to go take that while Zed's dead. You decide you want the blue buff instead. You take him at the same time. Looks good. You going for this. This is solid macro. I like that a lot. Just clear, 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 clear. There's no reason to team fight right now because Zed's dead anyway. So if the enemies are forcing their goofballs, plus people are going to be like, oh, why aren't you just grouping, group. If you were grouped right now and the enemy saw that, they probably wouldn't even be trying to fight. So by you doing this, you're inherently giving some pretty good value for your team and also getting yourself ahead. Yeah, it sucks that stuns don't cancel dashes. At least they're not supposed to. The only CCs that are supposed to be able to cancel dashes and leaps are displacements, like knockups, knockbacks, that type of thing. The exceptions in League, as far as my knowledge, is Jinx Traps and Vex Sphere. They artificially inflated that in their abilities because the champions were struggling at that given point, and they're trying to give them some quality of life by inherently breaking the physics of the game. It is what it is, though. You're staying on top of Zac. You have your R. Whenever you're dealing with a champion who has a channel, always try to save a CC for when they start to channel that ability. So there, I wouldn't have R'd until he started to channel his E. So now you get E'd. To be fair, he doesn't have to channel it. He can use it at point blank shotgun range without channeling. So it's a tough fight. Until you have a max health damage item, you're not going to be able to kill Zac. This is a bad matchup for Amumu. Any tank jungler, once Zac's level 6 and up, he starts to get quite the lead against you. Having agonies will definitely help, but the healing he's getting is incredibly high. This game could have turned out a lot differently, though. Like, even though it looks rough now, just a few less mistakes. A few less mistakes and we'd have this third drag and we'd be on our way to Dragsoul is the difference right now. Like, this would be Dragsoul right now. They're all pretty low. Dragon's not a bad option here. Nice job pinging it out. Huge. Just play for Dragsoul. You win the game, man. It's that simple. You take some camps while you're here. I don't think there's any reason to force a team fight. Even though you are a Amumu, it's weird that people are fighting right now because there's nothing to fight over. There's no turret here. There's no dragon. There's no herald. There's no baron. There's no red buff. There's no blue buff. There's no scuttle crap. People are just like randomly A-ramming right now. Yeah. In this situation, I think danger pinging your teammates isn't the best. If you are going to do it, I would put it over the enemies or slightly behind them. Because if your teammates feel like you're putting the pings on them, like you're yelling at them, they'll mute you. So put them behind, a little behind the enemies, but don't specifically put them on top of your teammates or their pitchers, or they'll take personal offense to that. But they should not be team fighting right now. Absolutely not. You have the split pressure. Even though Amumu shouldn't be splitting, it kind of made sense just depending on what was happening, and then your teammates kind of just stay and fight to the death after zero objective or zero neutral thing whatsoever. You're going to have to go for MF. So one easy way to do this is to just either walk up to Zach, hit him with your first Q, stand on this side of him, and then when MF gets in range for your Q, you just peg her. So you kind of do that here. You end up walking past Zach, get her with your R. She kind of walked into you. I don't think you should have queued back to Zach. That feels like a mistake to me. Just stay on top of that MF and kill her. It's much faster to pop a squishy and then focus the tank. Focusing the tank first is so much harder. It allows them to basically fulfill their duty. Instead, we could have easily killed MF there. Nice. Okay, not bad. Yeah, play for Draxel. Game's winnable. Even though you guys are being goofballs and forcing random fights, I mean, Draxel. Make sure you've spent your gold and you have your R ready for Draxel. It's that simple. You should probably back here because you're low. You have some solid items. I would definitely lean more into... Okay, you got Force of Nature. That's fine. That's exactly what we needed. They're very AP heavy. Make sure you have at least one CC available for MF at all times. You need to cancel her R. There's no reason to force the fight here. I would have walked away from Zach. There's no reason to engage on this when your teammates aren't here. Mundo's elsewhere on the map, so is Ezreal. Before every single fight, press tab. And I'm not saying as it happens. I'm saying you're thinking about taking a fight or you can see people there. Press tab, see what items they have. On top of that, before anything like this happens, you need to make sure you know where your teammates are, because this is just a weird fight to even post up to. We blow our R, huge waste. Never, ever, ever solo target an R on someone unless it's going to be a guaranteed kill. And you're going to say, oh, I thought it was guaranteed. How is this guaranteed? It's just 3 of you here fighting a tank against 3 of them. It doesn't make sense. So here, what you'd want to do, I'd say don't fight this at all because you don't know where the enemies are. But guess what? You know where your teammates are. You can always see them on the main map. Always, always. The game allows you to see where they are at all times. So you know for a fact your 2 teammates aren't here, but you don't know for a fact where their other 2 teammates are. So they could be close by. With that being said, if you did decide to fight this, which is the wrong move, from this position you would have queued MF or blue smite queued her. Then you would have triple R'd them. Or at least double R'd. MF's one of their main sources of damage, and her R is also a game-ending tool. I assume that's GG's. I can't imagine recovering after that. What just happened? So you died, you come back, Zach decides, you know what, I'm just going to randomly fight 1 versus 2 without my teammates. And you get the Q. See, a solo R in a situation where you have more people than them makes sense. And this last fight, it wasn't 3 of you against Zach, it was 3 on 3. But since Zed's by himself, this R is fine. You R into the Q. Baron, since 2 of them are dead, that's fine. I would... Oh my god, they got it. Was your smite on cooldown? My dude, if your smite's on cooldown, you don't want to be doing stuff like Baron. It's too coin flippy. Your win con's drag soul anyways, and guess what? Dragon's coming up, and guess what? 2 of them are dead. This game has been free so many times. There's just no need for this. Baron is not nearly as important as Dragsoul. Dragsoul's so much better, especially after the Dragsoul buffs. Even if it is just a Win Soul is insane. It's like 15% constant movement speed, plus 50% bonus movement speed for like 6 or 8 seconds after casting your R. It is nutty strong. It's currently my favorite drag soul. I think they've way overbuffed it. It's way too good. So you try to block, Brand ends up stealing because you don't have smite, and that is exactly why we don't take Baron without smite. Because even if they had just a Thresh, you could steal it with hook. Or a Janet Tornado, or a Soraka key, like, and anything could steal Baron if you don't have smite. Now we try to force down the dragon. Luckily we do get it. Question is how do we manage to lose the game from this position? We lose the game by forcing weird fights when our teammates aren't here. Our main wombo combo is you and the Kiana. Kiana is not here. So if this turns into a 5v5, good luck. Plus you're already missing some HP. He lands the E. Kiana's not here yet. How much gold are we sitting on? Only 500. Lands another E. Really need to try to dodge those. These E's have pretty high base damage. You R'd way too soon there. Just take a step. Get a feel of how big your R circle is. That was a double R. I think you could have landed on Teemo. Your R doesn't do any extra damage for only hitting one person. But a Mord Q does. So does a Karthus Q. He's fighting 1 versus 2. This isn't a bad fight, but now it kind of is. Where's so Kiana's dead. 2 of them are dead. Okay, this is fine actually. You don't have R. Just blue smite him. Kind of kite it out until your R's up. See, this is exactly what I said. Like MFRs, they're one of the scariest things they have. This is why you always have to have a CC ready for MF. You can kite on Amumu, just blue smite and run away with your tears on. We didn't have to overfight this. We just needed to stay alive until our R's up. So blue smite, walk away. If Zach's the only one hitting you, it's going to take him like over 20 seconds to kill you. But if you have 2 other people hitting you, you'll die very fast. So the Q on him. On Teemo is what killed you. There was no need. Now you have 0 CC ready for the MFR. And then sure enough, she drops a load on you and you die like a 1/10 of a second before your R comes up. Just a little bit impatient. Just look for that. If they have massive channel abilities like Fiddle R, Fiddle Drain, MFR, you have to have at least 1 hard CC ready left to stop it, whether it's your R or your Q. And if you're going to fight multiple targets at once on Amumu, especially in late game team fights, you really need to watch your spacing and don't just get yourself killed for no reason. One of the biggest thing that separates tank players, good ones from lesser ones, is your ability to float in the danger zone to where you're still frontlining without getting absolutely destroyed, to where you're blocking for your teammates, you can threaten the engage, but you're not actively getting destroyed by 3 people at once when all of your abilities are like on cooldown, basically. Or your most important abilities on cooldown. We don't want to be up there getting freaking smacked down, if that makes sense. Now, if your R is up, it's kind of okay to be up there getting smacked down, because then you can find more opportunities to actually get in there and hit a big R. So here, this is a good spot. I like this position a lot. When there's a tank in your way, if you're behind them and you have at least 1 Q up and R up, it makes it really hard for squishies to engage on you, or squishies to get in the fight in general, because you have that constant pressure of walking into them pressing R or landing a Q into R. So I like this a lot. You do the solo on Brand, it's fine since you could guaranteed kill with it. Mundo's on the split. Teemo is very big. Kiana's only level 15. Yeah, Kiana's gonna die there. You decide to stay. I think you should have backed. I don't think you guys could force an end here since 2 of your teammates are in base and they still have their inhibs. So like use the tank player since you don't do that much damage to turrets or anything where you have to auto attack. I think you should have just backed and dealt with the Teemo. You could definitely defend turret underneath turret against a Teemo. You have enough magic resist to do so. Just blue smiter, then Q if you can. If you don't have a single CC ready for the MFR, you're throwing the game. It goes for any champion you're playing that has CC in its kit. You want to save at least one hard CC to cancel her R. And we put them all on cooldown before she'd used it. If she uses her R and you have one ready, you can stop it instantly. She has to stand still to fire her R. It's that simple. Regardless of how many mistakes your teammates make, this goes for everybody. Regardless of how many mistakes your teammates make, there's generally enough mistakes in your own gameplay to go back and be like, huh, if I didn't do that, we probably would have won. Obviously, not every game is like that, but the majority of games you do play, there will be things you could have done differently, regardless of what your teammates were doing, to win the game, or to much heighten the likelihood of winning the game. So here, a teammate got picked. They're going to go for Baron. I don't like contesting Baron here. I'd rather push their base or take Dragon. If you guys want to get a ward down on Baron, that's one thing, and Lux can try to steal it, but trying to fight that for 4v5 is super rough, especially with a tank, because that can tank it, take 0 damage. They'll all be full HP. Zach can just tank it. Ezreal tries to stop it. You guys just have to back at this point. Might be too late. Ezreal dodges the Zac. Really need to play for this Eldar. Even though Draxol's awesome, Eldar's better. Wow. So you guys get that. Oh, they got Elder. They took that really fast. So they started taking it immediately. Holy crap. That sucks. That really sucks, I'm getting Elder like that. Yeah, just push top. You have the other 2 inhibs here. If you guys 5-man top, it's hard for them to force a fight 4v5, plus the other waves are shoving in, so some of them are going to have to peel off to deal with that. So you're making the right macro call here. This is good. You need to get your teammates on the same page, though. Zed could probably kill you. You don't have that much armor, and he's very fed. He should have just went in for the all-in with the Elder. He wussed out there hardcore. At this point, it's the same thing. Save at least 1 CC to cancel MFR, and you guys can win the game. You keep him at point-blank range. I like it. They do have the Eldar, so this is going to be really hard to fight. Since MF's bot side, you'd probably look to CC the Brand and take him out. Tough fight. Maybe CC Zac underneath your turrets without blowing your R if possible. Yeah, Elder is rough, man. That's really rough. Yep. So I think the main things are just not wasting time on random bad ganks where you don't think you can get a kill. Is the main thing. We had a couple of ganks that were super coin flippy. Just remember, we don't gank Teemos, enemy Teemos, Darius's, Alawi's, Mordekaiser's once they're level 6 and up. The type of champion who can easily win a 1 versus 2 or consistently get away, for that matter. Teemo falls into that category. So there's the don't take bad low percent ganks, and there's also don't randomly invade, especially when you know they know you're there. And like, if you know they know you're there, but you can see them all in the minimap and they're not coming, that's fine. But 2 of them were missing. Their support could see you. You guys were looking at each other, and 2 of them were missing to where it was super sketchy. Another thing is you need to be incredibly mindful in team fights of who you need to CC. If you have the much stronger backline, it doesn't matter that much who you CC. Because all you have to go, you tank, you blow your load, and you win the game. So if you had MF on your team, honestly, you're just looking for big Rs and then you win. But since you had the Ezreal, a lower DPS backline, you're going to have to be more mindful of how and when you CC. So you need to save at least 1 hard crowd control ability, whether that be a Q or an R, and you have that ready for the MF at all times. If you did that just alone, that last tip, I think you guys would have won. Because there was a few situations where she whipped out a big R, she was out of position, and she wasn't punished for it. Other than that, it was pretty decent. Your clear is fine. Your runes are fine. Your masteries are fine. Your level order's fine. Your summoner spells are fine. It's literally just over ganking and random overly offensive invades on top of, in team fights, you're not necessarily saving your CC for the most important people. But other than that, pretty solid, man. You'll definitely hit gold before the season ends. Best of luck to you, my friend.